Hello, hello, hello. Welcome to the episode of the GSMC Wrestling Laureate Podcast brought to you by the GSMC Sports Network. I'm your host, Eric Rodriguez, here every Monday through Friday, giving you guys all that, that professional wrestling tea that you guys die so much for, you guys want to hear in terms of AEW, WWE, TNA, Ring of Honor, basically everywhere across the world of professional wrestling. If it makes major news, we talk about it. We talk about it here, guys. Today is a beautiful Friday. It's amazing. Those who do not work during the weekend, obviously, I definitely, shed some light on you. Definitely have to give you guys your flowers because I'm so envious. But then again, envy is a sin. So, looks like I'm sinning tonight. I'm just kidding. No, moving on. Thank you guys so much for tuning into the GSMC Wrestling Laureate Podcast, brought to you by the GSMC Sports Network. We have a great show for you today on tap. I was running into some serious technical difficulties before this show. But we're going to talk about SmackDown. We're going to talk about what's going to happen on SmackDown tonight. We're going to talk about my Thursday night wrestling review. We're going to talk about Ring of Honor, TNA, and then we're going to talk about some Bill Goldberg. Bill Goldberg, recently announced his retirement on I think it was Fox College Sports. I think it was football day. I'm not too sure. We're going to talk about that. And of course, we're going to talk about WWE launches, an independent wrestling promotion. And we're also going to talk about, this new day and age of, WWE on Netflix. Obviously, started a little late. I have to finish this podcast in time before 9:30 for my man Emran's GSMC Soccer Podcast, which is which is actually gonna go away. I feel like tonight is actually gonna be his last episode hosting the soccer podcast. From further on noted, he's going to be the leader. He's gonna be the host of the GSMC Dead Ball podcast. So a huge round of applause, congratulations. But he was great on soccer. He was an amazing personnel on soccer. So obviously, you got to throw flowers whenever it's recognized. And, he's a great talent. Obviously, a lot of these podcasters on the network have, one passion, it's sports. And we want to bring you guys the best sports content possible. So 1,010%, this Dead Ball podcast, make sure you guys check it out. I think it might be on the same time slot. I'm not too sure, but I don't know. It's a real edgy, kind of raw take in terms of sports. Sorry. Um, so check it out. Check it out. All right. So we're going to talk about absolutely everything I just said. But before we do that, we're going to talk about, something really, really important. We're going to talk about obviously the super chats. Obviously, if you have a burning question or hot take in terms of the world of professional wrestling here at the GSMC Sports Network, we do love a lot of peace, love, and positivity, 1,010%. Here at the GSMC Sports Network, we want to get something off your chest. Obviously this is wrestling, so we're talking about wrestling. We are all ears. Definitely love you guys. Definitely love your guys' hot takes and opinion. This show is all about keeping the conversation going, making sure you guys feel like your voice is part of the mix. So don't be shy. Drop your thoughts inside that chat. If you really, really, really want to make sure your comment, question, or concern gets noticed on air, why not use that super chat? It's that $ below that chat box right there. Type in whatever you feel like, any hot takes, any, any breaking news stories or anything like that. We're going to talk about it here on this podcast. If it's something really, really juicy, maybe in fact, if it's something that should be noted, it could definitely, take the place of like a segment that I have here. But also, just to help keep the lights on in terms of all these podcasts on the GSMC Sports Network. Obviously, we want to keep these podcasts going. We want to make sure that these podcasters are doing what they do best, bringing you guys awesome sports content 24/7, Monday through Friday. So make sure you guys check that out. And, we are super grateful for each and every one of you guys. Thank you guys in advance for helping us out, who joins us here daily on the GSMC Sports Network. Your support makes all the difference. So let's keep the conversation going. Send in those super chats, those super stickers, because you guys are super awesome. And together we will make sure this podcast is, bigger, better, and stronger than ever. Once again, it's super chat, not your thing. It's all good. Go ahead and hit up the tips and donations link at the gsmcpodcast.net. Shoot me your comments, questions, concerns. Tell me what you like. Tell me what you don't like. Just remember to Superman punch that like and subscribe button to the show. Follow the show. Follow the network here at the GSMC Sports Network. We do love a lot of peace, love, and positivity, 1,010%. Of course, in terms of talking sports, it's inevitable. Disagreements come upon, criticisms, and it's all good in the neighborhood. Absolutely. Just hit us up. Let's do it. Let's talk about it. Let's make it happen. So, of course, hitting up that super thanks, and you guys are guaranteed to be happy campers. All right. So, we have segment one. We're going to talk about WWE SmackDown. We have our preview for tonight. Grayson Waller effect returns. Cody Rhodes and Roman Reigns is set to appear. We are live at the Buffalo's KeyBank Center in New York tonight for SmackDown. I can't wait to find out what's going to happen between this saga between Randy Orton and Kevin Owens. It's going to continue tonight on SmackDown. I'm not really. I can't honestly tell you a direction that these guys are really going to go into. I know Kevin Owens, Triple H said he was like, you guys, he feels hurt. He feels betrayed. He feels like he's going to like jump off a ledge because, his best friends kind of stabbed him in the back working with the bloodline. So, Kevin Owens obviously, still looking for a contract. I'm not too sure if WWE has they've come to an agreement with this contract. Obviously hasn't been made available in terms of media. So maybe he could find a way to be a part of the part of the storyline right now. Randy Orton is a huge babyface. So with Cody as a babyface champion, with Randy Orton as a babyface contender, you needed that heel, and obviously, with his past, his modus apparatus, his reputation has always shown, Kevin Owens kind of stabbing the back of somebody that he once respected, someone that he once followed, and called a fellow comrade. So, you know, between them two, obviously Randy Orton towers over Kevin Owens. Maybe this could be a way for Randy to put over Kevin. They're working together. Obviously, back scenes, these guys are really close. These guys work out together. So it's not really much of a huge flabbergast response if someone's like, okay, maybe that, maybe with Randy Orton, he is 39. He said he was going to retire at the age of 40. No, he's not. Sorry, excuse me. I think he's 30. No, shit. Crap, sorry, excuse me. Uh, I think he's getting up there, but he just recently signed a 5-year contract, and they said after that's up, then he's kind of out of WWE. So maybe perhaps this could be a way for Kevin Owens to kind of get over. That's the only reason why I would feel like these guys are going to have like this saga of matches, like this Carmelo Hayes and Andrade Game 7. Like maybe they might do something like that. I hope they don't. But, it is a new age of WWE and another Triple H Paul Levesque era. I'm not too sure maybe what is formidable at this moment. The Grayson Waller effect is going to take place with special guest Motor City Machine Guns. And I hate this. I got to be honest. I hate it. I don't like it. I feel like Austin Theory and Grayson Waller are a terrible tag team. Together, they're just awful on the mic. The only shining star is, I feel like, Austin Theory. Grayson Waller, I felt like was maybe promoted a little bit too soon from NXT, but it was a point where NXT was like, okay, where are we going to put this guy? And then they were like, okay, in WWE, didn't really get a response, a positive response in terms of the WWE universe. And right now, it just seems like he's being kind of like, chewed up and kind of spit out. Does he land on NXT once when him and Austin Theory break up? It could be a possibility. Definitely, I don't see him surviving on SmackDown. I don't see him surviving on Monday Night Raw. He can barely survive on NXT. Like, once again, like obviously these wrestlers go out there every night. They put on a great show. So we do not want to condemn their careers to like, crap or failures or anything like that, or that they're not going to be signed, that they're going to be let go by WWE, they're going to become free agents or anything like that. Definitely not stepping into that boundary, but overall, I just this has got to end. This has really got to end. I was kind of against the Motor City Machine Guns winning the tag team championships, but Alex Shelley, I think, is a hell of a competitor. Chris Sabin is also a hell of a competitor. But Grayson Waller, I don't like him, and not that I don't like him, like I have a personal beef or anything like that. I just don't see the hype, and like those wrestlers, they kind of need that special. You know what I mean? Like they go out, they kind of promote, it's special. They go out and wrestle, it's special. They go out and they defend their titles. They were tag team title holders before, and every single time they went out, it was like it just didn't seem like it really hit. Sometimes you have to cut your losses, and it sucks because WWE, it's not like they're yearning to release people. But right now, it wouldn't shock me if a couple months down the line, you've seen Grayson Waller become a free agent and released by WWE. But on the Motor City Machine Guns as well, you putting the titles on Tamatanga Tagalova so so fast. I didn't like it. I thought it was ultimately, kind of a burden. I thought it was kind of stupid, but it is what it is. Now it's kind of like, they're too invested in the Bloodline storyline to kind of give a crap about what's going on in the tag team division. So, I don't know, it should maybe give the Street Profits, a bone. D'Angelo Dawkins and Montez Ford have both voiced their frustrations with the tag team division on SmackDown. So, it's possible. It's possible. What's next for Cody Rhodes? We're going to find out Cody Rhodes' next competitor on SmackDown tonight. For me, honestly, I can't really, hit the nail on the head at all. Maybe somebody like Andrade comes through. Maybe we have a return tonight. Maybe we have a special guest. But on the SmackDown roster, there's nobody who can really challenge Cody Rhodes. And it's sad, but it is true. It is true, 1,010%. But once again, this is the reason why people are like, all right, Cody Rhodes is the champion. You had him finish his story at WrestleMania 40. When Roman was the champion, there was always storylines open. And now you kind of have Cody Rhodes as like, okay, the only thing that really makes sense, and it's kind of like a replay, kind of like a rerun, kind of like a run that back. Maybe Kevin Owens finds his success against Randy Orton and finds a way to challenge Cody Rhodes for the championship. Once again, that could definitely be a part of it. Or we can have maybe another, superstar, becoming legible on or legitimate on SmackDown. Maybe you might see, somebody from Raw come over. Maybe you see, Shinsuke Nakamura, kind of revitalize the rivalry he had with Cody Rhodes. But right now it's kind of up in the air. It's up in the air. Cody Rhodes is, he's not going to have anything to do with the bloodline. He's not going to have anything to do with that whole Civil War. So right now, heading up to Survivor Series, definitely heading up to the road for WrestleMania and the Royal Rumble that's going to take place in like 2.5 months. Now you got to start building. You're going to start building, younger talent. You're going to start building that somebody who might be able to kind of challenge Cody Rhodes and maybe have that surprise factor of becoming, a new WWE Undisputed Champion. Like a lot of people think that Oba Femi from NXT is going to make his debut on the main roster. And, there's a lot of possibilities. There's a lot of WWE NXT superstars that could definitely prove dividends in terms of SmackDown or Raw and make it legitimate, make it look cool, make the shows, worthwhile watching. So, definitely could be something tonight that could be really, really big. And yeah, next we have the OG Bloodline returns. We're gonna see the ring filled with the OTC, Roman Reigns, the Usos, and of course, Sami Zayn. What's gonna happen tonight? Up in the air. I feel like these guys need to for me, I feel like these guys need to kind of like patch it all together because the fans want it. A lot of people would say, hey, maybe Sami joins Solo Sikoa. Maybe Sami Zayn joins Kevin Owens. And, although that might be that like that shock factor, but it's not giving the fans what they want, and I respect a lot of wrestling fans or a lot of wrestling, media that I've been, kind of came across researching this topic that Sami Zayn, as a heel, I didn't like it. He's that lovable hero. He's, kind of like that Mick Foley-esque kind of competitor, always the underdog, always going up against somebody like Gunther, going up against somebody like Roman Reigns. And now you kind of see him going in this battle where he's gonna have to have the support of the WWE universe as well as the support of Jimmy J and surprisingly Roman Reigns. It's very possible that Sami Zayn, might stab Jey Uso in the back. I don't think that's, in my opinion, obviously, my opinion, 1,010%. I don't really see that coming into fruition, but overall, I know, with the new Triple H Paul Levesque era, we're not, too sure what's going to go down. So, just make sure you guys check out what's going to happen on WWE Smackdown. I got it recorded already. Can't wait to watch it. All right, guys. So, hey, do not go anywhere. We're going to jump on into our second segment, my Thursday night wrestling review. We got TNA and we got Ring of Honor talk when we come back. So, hey, grab your favorite snack, grab your favorite ice cold beverage, and we will be right back.
I feel like I'm losing my mind. Is everybody in the world blind? Please, Lord, give me a sign, a sign. I feel like I'm losing my mind. Is everybody in the world blind? Please, Lord, give me a sign, a sign.
I wanna be the greatest. Everybody on the fake shit. I look around and feel like everybody is the fakest. I make this every day and I'm impatient, hoping one day I blow up from the basement. Statement, the top is so vacant. I don't hear shit that I think is amazing. Waiting for my day when I'm playing sold out shows for 1,000 faces. Hey, give me that crown, get in my way and to be put down. It ain't your place, all this my town. If I want that shit, then I'll get it right now. I'm losing it, the noose it fits, I'm losing shit. A stupid myth, you choose to live or choose to dip. You choose to fight or lose your grip and lose a gift.
I feel like I'm losing my mind. Is everybody in the world blind? Please, Lord, give me a sign, a sign. I feel like I'm losing my mind. Is everybody in the world blind?
All right, over here back with the GSMC Wrestling Laureate podcast brought to you by the GSMC Sports Network. I'm your favorite wrestling fan, Eric Rodriguez, here every Monday through Friday, 8 p.m. Pacific time, 11 p.m. Eastern time, here to talk about the greatest thing in the world. Professional wrestling, all the action inside and outside of the ring. Backstage curtain draws and rumors. We talk about superstar news updates, inactive statuses and injuries. We talk about contract negotiations, extensions, and new signings. We talk about promotions from WWE to AEW to TNA to Ring of Honor to New Japan Professional Wrestling. If it makes major news in the world of professional wrestling, we talk about it here on this show every Monday through Friday, 8 p.m. Pacific time, 11 p.m. Eastern on the GSMC Sports Network. All right, so let's go to jump on into our second segment. We got my Thursday night wrestling review. We're going to talk about TNA and Ring of Honor, but before we get into any of that, definitely want to remind you guys to hit up that super chat if you got a burning question or hot take in terms of professional wrestling. We talk about it here on this show. If you've been dying to share it, if you've been trying to get it off your chest, it's time to share this conversation. This podcast is all about keeping you guys, excited. Feeling like you guys can engage. Rallying up the crowd, making you guys feel like you guys are very, very lively, making sure that you guys feel like you're part of the mix. So here at the GSMC Sports Network, we definitely love and appreciate your guys' interactions. And if you really, really, really want to make sure your comment, question, or concern gets noticed on air, why not use that super chat? It's that $sign below that chat box right there, which guarantees anything and absolutely everything you put inside that chat box is going to be guaranteed to be featured on the show. 1,010%. You guys become the host. I become the listener. Definitely love 1,010% that you guys feel like you guys feel comfortable to engage in this content. And if you guys do not feel comfortable, I feel like I kind of suck. I feel like I'm not doing my job well. So, it's not gonna hurt my feelings, although, it's getting pretty hard. It's getting, just definitely want to remind you guys to feel like you guys are part of the podcast. And, don't be afraid to share what's on your chest. We are super grateful for each and every one of you guys who joins us here daily on the GSMC Sports Network. Your support makes all the difference. So let's keep the conversation going. Let's get this party started. Send in those super chats, those super stickers, because you guys are super awesome. And together we will make sure this podcast is bigger, better, and stronger than ever. Once again, if the super chat not your thing, it's all good. Go ahead and hit up the tips and donations link at the GSMCpodcast.net. Tell me what you like. Tell me what you don't like. Just remember to Superman punch out, like and subscribe button to the show. Follow the show. Follow the network here at the GSMC Sports Network. We do love a lot of peace, love, and positivity, 1,010%. But of course, in terms of sports, there's going to be criticisms. There's going to be discrepancies. There's going to be disagreements, and it's okay. Absolutely okay. Type whatever you feel like inside that chat, and we will make sure it works. Feedback is a gift. Just want to feel like you guys feel open. Don't be shy. Tell me how you feel. You can tell me I suck. It's cool. I won't get my feelings hurt. I'm just kidding. Okay. Moving on. So we're gonna talk about our next segment. We got my Thursday night wrestling review. So let's talk about some TNA Impact tonight. Obviously, TNA Impact is going to be live, and now we have it's going to be a great show. We had TNA Knockouts champion Masha Slamovich and Jordan Grace take on Tasha Steeles and Alicia, Alicia Edwards. And overall, it was a great match. But of course, the new Knockouts champion Masha Slamovich, and of course the former Knockouts champion Jordan Grace, overcome, this new like tag team that's been formed between Tasha Steeles and Alicia Edwards. Although they lost, I feel like it doesn't really discredit their credibility. Of course, in terms of like taking on uh, you know, going after the NXT Women's Championship or the Knockouts Championship seems like it was pretty viable tonight. You had four wrestlers that could basically find themselves in a fatal four-way match for that Knockouts Championship, and you had them tag teaming against each other. Jordan Grace she's gonna get a rematch. She's gonna get a rematch, and this mutual respect between the two, although it has been very, very admirable between Grace and Slamovich, it's gonna get to a point where something's got to give. Like I feel like Jordan Grace has been a prominent factor in terms of TNA. Maybe she's heading towards some time off. Definitely feel like she deserves it. And then you have Masha Slamovich representing the division, which is good, which is good. I wouldn't really have it any other way. Her former tag team partner Alicia Edwards, proving why her and the system are just they're here to stay, and they're going to continue to be absolutely obnoxious and terrible, and just mind consuming, and it's gonna make you mad. It's gonna make you mad. But obviously, that's what heels do. That's exactly what they're supposed to do, and it feels like she's doing pretty damn well. Her and Steeles are a great tag team. I don't want to see these girls kind of go against each other, or to kind of like have one of them be like, you know what, I'm better off without you. I'm moving on. I ultimately feel like this will make sense, kind of setting up Alicia Edwards as being, kind of reintroducing herself as a singles competitor in the TNA Knockouts division. And overall, I'm for it. I think it's pretty badass. I would love to see it. All right, we have a no DQ match between NXT's Wendy Chu taking on Rosemary. Recently, you've seen, within the past couple of months, Rosemary back, Wendy Chu of NXT, but Wendy Chu has been failure after failure after failure. And, Rosemary hasn't really been that great as well. Ever since the two kind of hooked up, you can make an interesting argument saying that these girls are bringing each other down. And Rosemary definitely, she attacked Wendy Chu, being like, you know what, this business is not booming. Something needs to change, and it's cool. It's cool. Something that's really different. I don't want to say weird and like out of the ordinary, but Rosemary has been kind of that girl on TNA that kind of rile up the crowd, kind of get them interested in just something that's weird, something that's different. And Wendy Chu for NXT has done the same thing. And these girls going at it. Rosemary obviously came out the victor. Very big for Rosemary. Love this win for Rosemary. Honestly, I wouldn't have it any other way. Wendy Chu came back into NXT and had this amazing push, had this huge, psychotic, angle where she was like kind of, like a Bray Wyatt kind of figure. Her feud with Tatum Paxley, her feud with, Lyra Valkyria, at the end of the day, it's right now, it just seems pointless. It just didn't really seem like it really meshed well. Maybe that's why NXT and TNA was like, you know what, we need to kind of nip this in the bud because we have future plans for Wendy Chu, or maybe she might be the next one on the line of the firing, for her being released from WWE. And it's possible because it seems like they gave Wendy Chu a chance. They gave it a chance. They gave the style. They gave her the storyline that she ultimately, she approached the creative officer. She was like, I want to do this. I want to do that. It's going to be a home run. And it kind of wasn't, and it sucks. Sometimes things doesn't work out, but you don't want to necessarily shoot yourself in the foot and be like, all right, let's just go ahead and try to force something that's not working. Ultimately that could be the end of your wrestling promotion, obviously right now with TNA and NXT. And, I feel like Nothing really can hurt it. So I feel like that's the reason why they kind of play with these storylines quite a bit. But, right now, Wendy Chu, she looks weak. She looks beaten. She looks battered. She looks like she's ready to step down as a wrestler. Maybe she's finding her way outside of the wrestling promotion area, but, she just doesn't seem good right now. And, definitely love the respect and, the uniqueness of her creative style, but it just didn't work out. The storyline never really worked out. So, yeah, it was kind of crazy. All right, next we have Jody Threat taking on with Danny Luna taking on Heather by Elegance and Ash by Elegance, accompanied by the personal concierge. I love that Jody Threat picked up the victory. You saw Ash by Elegance defeating. Was it Danny Luna? Was it Danny Luna? Yeah, it was Danny Luna. The other half of Spitfire, creating this new rivalry between the two teams, which is absolutely, in lack of a better word, stellar. Ash by Elegance, WWE, she was Dana Brooke. She's great. She's great. She's amazing inside the ring. She was this close to dethroning Jordan Grace. And now you have her new friend Heather, taking on a team like Jody Threat and Danny Luna of Spitfire. Spitfire has been electric ever since being on, TNA, ever since becoming the TNA Knockouts World Tag Team Champions. And I feel like it's just going to get better. It's just going to get better from this. And, definitely can't wait to find out what's going to happen next. Next week on TNA Impact, Joe Hendry returns to attack and fight Ryan Nemeth. Mike Santana takes on Casey Navarro. The Northern Armory will take on Jonathan Grisham, Steve Macklin, and Eric Young. Nick Nemeth will take on Brian Myers. And of course, we have the TNA X Division Championship match between Speedball Mike Bailey and the leader of the system, Moose. It was a valiant effort, but of course, something that I did not, want to happen is you saw Moose win, and I feel like it's when you have, how can I put this without being disrespectful or without being like biased? It's kind of like having somebody like Roman Reigns winning the Intercontinental Championship, winning the United States Championship, and then you kind of look at everybody around you, you're like, can anybody really beat this guy? Like Moose lost the TNA World Championship against Nick Nemeth at Slammiversary. And was it really wise to put a new belt on Moose? I don't think it was. I really honestly don't think it was. I think it closes up the X Division Championship, right away. Now they have greatness once again. Now they run TNA. And it's just it's awful. I definitely was disappointed in the way TNA had Moose win the championship. Obviously, maybe there's a future, storyline that maybe I'm not wrapping my head around. But Moose is a world title contender. He's a main card. It hurts both him and the X Division Championship because if you look at him pound for pound, he's not an X Division competitor. He's not. He's not. It's like Brock Lesnar winning the Intercontinental Championship. That doesn't make sense. It's terrible. It's terrible booking. This booking receives an F in my book. As your favorite wrestling fan on the GSMC Wrestling Laureate podcast, join me and let's go ahead and boo, boo, boo. No, in all realisticness, Moose should have never won the X Division Championship. It was garbage. It was terrible. But maybe there might be an interesting angle to this. I honestly think it's gonna, come back and bite him in the ass. But, I don't know. Maybe I could be wrong. Obviously I am human at the end of the day. So maybe I could be wrong, but right now it just doesn't really seem like it works. All right, now we're going to talk about Ring of Honor Club. We're going to talk about the Infantry defeating Tom Mitchell and Trace Parker in a match. We had the Spanish announced Project Serpentico and Angelico, of course, continue to start rolling, taking down Sean Donovan and LSG. Ring of Honor World Tag Team Champion Sammy Guevara and Dustin Rhodes defeat Preston Vance. We also see EJ Undoku and Lee Johnson defeat Philly Collins and Marino Technogila. We have Diamante defeating Rachel Elliger, which is a huge match for Diamante. Congratulations. That's sick. Rachel Elliger, sorry, excuse me, Rachel Ellinger has definitely been, a promising start in terms of the women's division on Ring of Honor. So it's kind of cool to kind of see just a different perspective. I think that's cool. Layla Hirsch defeats Tina San Antonio. Tomohiro Ishii defeats Aaron Solo, which is big for the conglomeration. Nick Wayne, accompanied by Kip Saban and Mother Wayne, defeated Ryan Clancy. AR Fox defeated Josh Woods with Smart Sterling. Katsuyori Shibata defeated the Butcher, which is that's good for Shibata as well. I definitely wanted to see him come into I want to see him come into more like a leadership role. The New Japan Professional Wrestlers who have joined AEW ever since you've seen that merger between TNA. It's not TNA. Sorry, excuse me. AEW, the CMLL, Ring of Honor, and also New Japan Professional Wrestling. So, it's kind of cool to kind of see these superstars kind of break the bank here, kind of find a way to assert themselves into this picture of what is professional wrestling right now. Tony Khan has represented his, superstars to a T. I feel like he's been great in terms of that. Obviously, you've seen Zack Sabre Jr. become the new IWGP champion, which is pretty badass. You've seen, multiple New Japan Professional Wrestler stars and Stardom superstars like, Mina Shirakawa coming to the AEW roster, which means, hey, it's more TV time on American soil. And that's ultimately what wrestlers, that's what they want to do. So, definitely love and respect that. Definitely think it's super cool. Can't wait to find out what happens more with Ring of Honor and TNA. Obviously, that was my Thursday Night Wrestling review. All right, guys. So, hey, do not go anywhere. We're going to jump on into our next segment. Bill Goldberg announces his retirement. We're going to talk about, all the controversy surrounding it, maybe perhaps the last final match. And we're just going to talk about some good old fashioned Bill Goldberg. So, hey, do not go anywhere.
Looking for your daily fix of sports talk without having to pay for it? GSMC Sports Network is available on YouTube. Just search GSMC Sports Network. Get your fix of daily sports talk shows on YouTube, absolutely free. NFL, college football, NBA, MLB, MMA, UFC, fantasy football, and so much more. GSMC Sports Network has shows running all day long, with new sports shows starting every 2 hours. Just like on your favorite cable sports channel, except GSMC Sports Network is absolutely free. Just search GSMC Sports Network on YouTube to catch one of your new favorite shows, like the GSMC College Football Podcast, Chip Shot Football Podcast, Hoops and Heels Women's Sports Podcast, GSMC Basketball Podcast, and so many more. Check it out for yourself. GSMC Sports Network, now available on YouTube absolutely free. Search GSMC Sports Network on YouTube right now.
All right, we're back with the GSMC Wrestling Laureate podcast brought to you by the GSMC Sports Network. I'm your host, Eric Rodriguez, here every Monday through Friday, 8 p.m. Pacific Time, 11 p.m. Eastern, here to talk about the greatest thing in the world, professional wrestling. So without further ado, let's go ahead and reiterate on what we talked about. We had our WWE Friday Night Smackdown preview. We talked about my Thursday Night Wrestling review. And then we're going to talk about some good old-fashioned Bill Goldberg. Dude, honestly, his entrance was definitely legendary, Mike. I thought it was freaking awesome. Every single time Goldberg would come out inside WCW. I'm just kidding, no. But there was a point where a lot of WCW fans, they were into some Bill Goldberg, but, he never really kind of received the training or the quality training that would have, ultimately become a Bill Goldberg before, he went out there and he was hurting superstars. Ultimately, he claimed he communicated with Bret Hart about that kick. But, arguably, he was blamed by Bret Hart of missing a cue, not really communicating with him, kicking him in the head, causing him to have structural damage to his brain to the point where he could not step inside the squared circle, retiring the best there was, the best there is, and the best there ever will be, the Hitman, Bret the Hitman Hart. And, it's, of course, obviously all, speculations, all of it is, it's controversial. It's very controversial. All right, Bill Goldberg on a College Game Day announces that he will win. He will have one more match in 2025. Presumably, obviously, it was Gunther. A lot of people knew that it was Gunther. He claimed that it's gonna. They said that WWE told him it's gonna take a couple of months. Royal Rumble seems fitting. But you can't really have this at the Royal Rumble. Honestly, you really, really can't. This has to be done at WrestleMania in Las Vegas, which makes me think that being at Las Vegas means that he's going to either win, which for me, against anybody, which for me kind of gives me like a 25, maybe like a 15% chance. Because I feel like he has no business winning any match in WWE right now. That's my opinion. Or that other 75 to 85% where it's like, okay, this is going to be a great way for someone to for him to put somebody over. But then again, this is his last match. He's made it prominent with WWE creative that, ever since he had his son, he's been happy to make it onto the wrestling promotion to kind of show his son that, kind of like the ups of professional wrestling. Because before then, WCW was buried by WWE during the invasion angle, and then that's no surprise. But but Bill Goldberg, him being inside the squared circle doesn't really make sense. Like, and I've reiterated it on this podcast over and over and over again. I could confidently tell my wrestling fans to be like, oh, tell me a little about good Bill Goldberg. I thought he was cool. I thought he was very intimidating. Oh, cool. So he was a great wrestler. Nah, I can't say that. I can't go out on a limb and be like, he was a great wrestler. He was amazing. Like, he was very, he was entertaining. Was he a good wrestler? No. Was he like an interesting person to watch? Yeah. So obviously that's where I kind of feel guilty. But then again, it's like, what could I really expect from Bill Goldberg? WCW was looking for, the next big thing. Obviously, you have the shaved head, you have the black trunks. They were ultimately trying to kind of recreate like a Stone Cold Steve Austin on WCW. I mean, when it comes to like bootleg versions and stuff like that, sometimes it just doesn't really come to fruition, and sometimes it actually hurts the promotion more than like propel it. Yeah, it's just something that happens. Something that, it's sometimes you swallow your losses. You're like, you know what? Go on, you find another day. But WCW kept it reiterated, be like, oh, we want people to love Bill Goldberg. He was forced down the wrestling universe's throat, like Roman Reigns was in 2018 to 2022. Not 2022, but 2000 and 2013 to 2019. I can obviously, confidently say. But I don't know. It's just kind of crazy. But he is one to fight at WrestleMania. I don't really see him participating in the Royal Rumble. Maybe, maybe. But I don't know. Could be possible. Gunther, I feel like if he's going to take on Bill Goldberg, he will not be champion. Nobody wants to see Bill Goldberg hold gold once again. Nobody in the world wants to see that. Will he put Gunther over, with the loss? Will WWE let Bill Goldberg win? Obviously, we talked about that. He was promised by Vince McMahon that he would have a farewell match, and it seems like that promise is going to be kept by Khan, by Levesque, and also, Legento are going to fulfill that promise. And he said this, and I quote Bill Goldberg. He said, I think we know who the subject or the victim, probably the front runner right now. We know who it is. Obviously, he was talking about, Gunther. And a couple of farewell matches that I definitely loved in the past. I definitely loved, Batista taking on Triple H at WrestleMania 35. The following day, Batista announced on Twitter/X announcing his retirement. And you've kind of seen this come full circle. This is something that Dave Batista honestly was, he was about done wrestling and professional wrestling. He wanted to make his jump into MMA. Obviously, that didn't really, come up quite well. But ultimately, it just, Bill Goldberg, Dave Batista, it's not that they, connect to each other pretty well. It's that big, it's that bad, it's aggressive. Dave Batista was definitely better than Bill Goldberg. I can say he was a great wrestler. But Dave Batista, wanting to kind of be like, hey, my last match, I want a 500. Day one, through evolution, you kind of had him, Hunter, Rick, and also Randy on the road together, 350 plus days a year. And it just seems like it was just about the right time to do it. And, I thought that was, farewell match was actually pretty cool. Randy Savage taking on the Ultimate Warrior, and loser should retire. Of course, you saw Randy Savage lose. Kind of created him going to WCW. Trish Stratus taking on Lita in 2006 at Unforgiven. After 7 women's championships, Trish Stratus retains the championship against Lita in her final match. Cactus Jack taking on Triple H at No Way Out 2000. Of course, it was the world title going up against his career. Later, he was Mankind. Mick Foley, Cactus Jack, Doolove, wherever you like to call him. He was reinstated by Linda McMahon at WrestleMania 2000. The Undertaker taking on AJ Styles. This is another match that was kind of like a lot of people didn't know that this was going to be The Undertaker's last match, which I was kind of happy it was because you had that match between him and Roman Reigns, which was just a bad, terrible spot where there was botched moves, and the Undertaker left with his hat, his gloves, and his everything left inside the middle of the ring, and he left, and of course he did his signature, bah, 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 and it was like, oh crap, the Undertaker's he's retiring. The last person that he lost against was Roman Reigns, which ultimately fueled the WWE Universe's hate for Roman, for him being, thrusted down their throat as the top babyface, as the top future of WWE, which, kind of hurt his, career, moving forward. Next, we have, Heartbreak Kid taking on Ric Flair, WrestleMania 24. That I'm sorry. I love you, that he super kicked him and then down went Ric Flair. Obviously, that's a very monumental match in terms of every wrestling fan's heart. And you see it in memes and stuff like that too. And I'm just like, oh, it brings a smile to my face every single time I see it. And of course, Shawn Michaels again in the ring with The Undertaker at WrestleMania with that, at the end of the match, you saw him, Triple H, and Shawn Michaels look back at the WWE Universe, kind of realizing that their time was up, that it was an end of an era. That's something I thought was it Jim Ross who said that? I'm not too sure. Don't quote me on that. Michael Cole said it was an end of an era. Triple H was gone, Shawn Michaels was retired, The Undertaker was literally a couple of years away from retiring, and it was it was about time. And of course, he did have that match between DX and the Brothers of Destruction in Saudi Arabia. That wasn't really great. It was actually kind of ass, kind of sucked. But I don't know. It's just it's kind of crazy. Obviously, giving you guys some examples of some farewell matches heading into retirement that were very successful. Bill Goldberg, I feel like right now Gunther is the right choice, but he cannot lose to Bill Goldberg. Gunther cannot lose to Bill Goldberg. So maybe that's the reason why maybe they might be considering something different. Maybe, at the beginning of the match, you see Gunther being like, oh, and they send Ludwig Kaiser out there, and then Goldberg just destroys Ludwig Kaiser in like 30 seconds. A typical Goldberg match. And it's like, all right, that's your retirement. I would feel disrespected as, from a Goldberg perspective. I would also feel disrespected from a Ludwig Kaiser, Imperium kind of perspective as well. So I really hope they don't do that. All right, guys. So, going to move on to our next segment. We're going to talk about some of the WWE launch. WWE launches an independent wrestling program to kind of help indie wrestlers make it up to, stages like NXT, SmackDown and Raw. So we're going to talk about that when we return. So, hey, do not go anywhere.
For the best and latest podcasts available anywhere, go to the podcast app on your cell phone and type in GSMC to access free content-rich podcasts on health and wellness, book reviews, sports, entertainment, relationships, social media, movies, technology, finance, and even weird news. Subscribe and download the GSMC Podcast Network's family of shows, available everywhere podcasts are found.
All right, we are back with the GSMC Wrestling Laureate podcast brought to you by the GSMC Sports Network. I'm your host, Eric Rodriguez, here every Monday through Friday, 8 p.m. Pacific time, 11 p.m. Eastern time. We're here to talk about the greatest thing in the world, professional wrestling. We talk about all the action inside and outside the ring, backstage, current calls, rumors. We talk about superstar, inactive statuses, injury updates. We talk about contract negotiations, extensions, And, new signings from promotions from AEW to WWE, New Japan Professional Wrestling to Stardom to the GCW to the NWA. If it makes major news in the world of professional wrestling, we talk about it here on this show, 1010%. All right, moving on to our fourth segment. We got WWE launching an independent wrestling program. WWE is extending its developmental system beyond NXT and WWE next in line NIL. It was promoted. It was not permissed. That's not the right word. It was ultimately kind of introduced in 2021, where they want to, start to identify and support the journey of a lot of up and coming wrestlers, which is something WWE never really did in the past. And then, just the fact that they're ultimately, they're adjusting, the fact that they're watching what's going on AEW, on TNA, on Ring of Honor. This is where these independent wrestlers go because WWE has always been like, you know what, we're gonna develop a lot of these younger superstars, through the NXT system, kind of people like Carmelo Hayes, people like, Trick Williams. And, there's so much, there's so many talent, there's so much talent out in the world of professional wrestling that's not really being put on blast, that's not really being noticed, mostly because it's the area. WWE hopes that, TKO Holdings and UFC, who recently opened, a location in Mexico City, the UFC Performance Center, because most of UFC, about 60%, is filled with Latin American fighters from 20 different Spanish speaking countries. So they're like, you know what, we're going to go out here, we're going to, kind of put our flag, we're going to state our claim that we can have a lot of these wrestlers or fighters that are unnoticed, that are, because of their, their region or their demographic or anything like that. And WWE has followed in the same footsteps. You saw, a super show with WWE happen where you saw, the new signing in NXT, Stephanie Vaquer, the former CML Women's Champion, the New Japan Professional Wrestling Strong Women's Champion. Obviously, she lost it to Mercedes Moné, but it was important. It was big. It was something that WWE kind of had to step out of their comfort zone a little bit and was like, you know what? It's about time. And this new NIL program and this WWE, independent wrestling circuit opening up, I feel like it's for me, it's like it's about time. It's about time. It should, strengthen the independent wrestling circuit. It's maximizing profit and revenue for WWE. Um, for me, a question that kind of pops into consideration when I think about these, qualities that this WWE NIL ID will, ultimately prove. What's going to happen with Tony Khan? That's the reason why he made most of his, money. That's the reason why he was able to kind of sign these superstars who became an absolute like under the table kind of badass wrestlers. Is this going to put Tony Khan out of money, out of money, out of promotion, out of, bankruptcy? It's going to put them out of business. Maybe, but ultimately, I feel like with this new day and age of digital, era in terms of, media, I feel like any wrestling promotion could, kind of survive with just like, streaming on their X account, Instagram, or anything like that. So obviously, that question is, I feel like it's a, kind of lost cause. Once again, WWE has always lacked in this independent wrestling category. WWE ID will support independent wrestlers with, wrestling schools, world-class training, development, and mentorship. They're going to start contributing, start combining a lot of these wrestling promotions that actually exist in an independent wrestling area. We got Booker T's Reality of Wrestling, taking place in Houston. We got Cody Rhodes' Nightmare Factory in Atlanta, Georgia. Seth Rollins' Black and Brave Academy in Davenport, Iowa. Elite Professional Wrestling Training Center in Concord, New Hampshire. Knox Pro Academy, and of course, LA. There's going to be talent recruitment, not just focusing on collegiate athletes, but athletes ranging from all sports, from all sports backgrounds. Triple H, during the NXT era, promoted independent wrestlers like, Kevin Owens, Sami Zayn, Johnny Gargano, Tommaso Ciampa. And, this took years. This obviously took years for Triple H to kind of But then again, under the supervision of Vince McMahon, I don't really feel like it's Triple H's fault. WWE as a whole, this took them years to have this kind of come in fruition. They kind of had these possibilities of be like, hey, let's go out and step out of our comfort zone and kind of look at all these other independent wrestling circuits where we can find someone who could maybe be the face of our company, maybe someone that could be great tag team champions, maybe someone that could usher in a new era of professional wrestling, like you saw John Cena did with the Ruthless Aggression era. But Vince McMahon was always kind of numb to it. He was always kind of shut off to it. And during this means that WWE, it's not going to take years to find amazing superstars like this. This will literally speed up the process. Prior to NXT and the Florida Championship Wrestling, you saw Ohio Valley Wrestling and the HWA. And, within it could definitely start creating competition between AEW, Tony Khan, and also TKO Holdings could definitely be in that sort of aspect. Obviously, there's been a concern of like a homogenization of professional wrestling, kind of like a monopoly, kind of like what Vince McMahon did, in the '80s. Kind of gathering up all these wrestling territories, stealing their top prospects, and becoming the best WWE, being the best wrestling promotion, kind of like a monopoly. But once again, I feel like if people don't want the attention wrestlers do get from wrestling, from the wrestling, the World Wrestling Entertainment that is WWE, a lot of people will be like, you know what, okay, I'm going to take a back seat, I'm going to wrestling independent wrestling circuits. I don't want to compare it to like a minor league, but some wrestlers, they have to have that know-how. They have to have that agreement within themselves, psychologically, emotionally, and confidently, and be like, you know what? Maybe you're not ready for the WWE yet. Hey, that's okay. That's okay. 1,000%. You see superstars like Cody Rhodes go down and be successful from WWE. Obviously, he might be the exception, not the rule. But it definitely opens up a lot of windows. I love it. I love it 1,010%. It creates more of an international, diverse, professional wrestling for me at this point. When you kind of have WWE launching this NIL ID program, and the fact that, it's going to put Tony Khan at edge because he needs to, this was his bread and butter. This was Ring of Honor's bread and butter. Signing these independent wrestlers that turn out to be complete, amazing, and utterly successful superstars. So there might be, I feel like WWE needs to have a collaboration with NXT. Not, sorry, excuse me, with AEW. I feel like, enough is enough. Do it for the fans. Do it for the fans, especially with this independent wrestling circuit. If WWE is going to get a lot of negative publicity because you're just being a monopoly. You're taking all the wrestlers like Vince did in the early years. Hunter, you're Triple H, Paul Levesque. You're no better than your father-in-law. Yada yada yada. And it's not Triple H's fault. It's not. This is something that should have been done by WWE years ago. This is something that WWE should have did decades ago. But you have your confidence. I don't want to say confidence. That's not the right word. Self-righteousness maybe. That Vince McMahon's like, you know what? We're going to develop our superstars. We're not going to go out there and try to grab somebody. Obviously, I don't want to compare apples to oranges here. I don't want to say that Jerry Jones is anywhere like Vince McMahon, after everything Vince McMahon has done. But, you see the Dallas Cowboys, and the reason why they're not successful in the NFL is because you don't really see them go out there and be like, oh, I want to go in and pick up this and that and the other. Their philosophy is like, you know what? We don't need anybody else. We don't need any outside. We have everybody, personnel, training staff, mentorship, you name it, in the Dallas Cowboys facility at Jerry World, that they don't really, they don't really reach from the outside, and, they like to promote from within, which is okay. It's cool, but that's if you draft well. Obviously comparing WWE to, changing their system to kind of, open up this independent wrestling circuit where you can have wrestlers like MJF, where you can have wrestlers like Zack Sabre Jr., like Will Ospreay, like Ricochet before you took him and then, gave him crap and failed to promote him, and then you can do it right. You can have people like that, but, you ultimately thought, and you're kind of full of yourself. You're like, we're going to promote within, we're going to develop our superstars, and they're going to be champions. They're going to be amazing. which is kind of crazy because the Dallas Cowboys in the recent, drafting with Micah Parsons and oh damn it, who's that other guy? Trayvon Diggs. I think that's the word, Trayvon Diggs. I think that's his name. It's you gotta trust your gut sometimes, and I feel like WWE did a really good job in in terms of this. All right, guys. So hey, all I got is to 9 o'clock. I obviously I hold you guys later, usually to like 9:30. But you know what? Like it's I have segments and stuff like that. Obviously, thanks to technical difficulties, had to start a little later, but ultimately it's time to say goodbye. Hope you guys had an amazing weekend. Hope you guys enjoyed the show. Thank you so much for tuning in to the GSMC Wrestling Laureate podcast, brought to you by the GSMC Sports Network. Remember to like and subscribe. Superman punch that like and subscribe onto the show. Follow the show, follow the network, follow us on Twitter/X, Instagram, TikTok, and Facebook for more content and updates. And of course, if I have not made you a wrestling fan by now, we have a lot of other podcasts you guys should check out. Have a beautiful weekend, you guys. Stay safe, hold your loved ones, and just be happy that we're here living in a great country like that is America. And just remember to appreciate the little things. Just enjoy the small things. A lot of people kind of let things kind of skip by them because they don't have a fancy Ferrari sitting out in the driveway, or maybe you're behind in rent and bills and stuff like that. Sometimes you got to look back. You have health. Your kids are they're healthy, they're happy. Sometimes you gotta take the small stuff and you just gotta celebrate it. And that's life. Appreciating the little things. So make sure you appreciate the little things tonight. I will be here on Monday. Make sure you guys check me out on the GSMC Sports Network. I host the GSMC Wrestling Laureate podcast live every Monday through Friday, 8 p.m. Pacific time, 11 p.m. Eastern time. So do not miss me. I definitely miss you guys. Stay beautiful, and of course, love you.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Let's go. I wake up to a little bit of drool on my pillow, feel like it's gonna be a bad day. Yeah, I'm tired of shit.